Mwafikie more, mwapenduka, mwarapo, vigets, ngapi. Our apologies for starting a few minutes late. Sincerely apologize. Respectfully, would like to ask someone who can volunteer to communicate between us and God. Any volunteer bishops in the house? And the MC also reserves the right to call and designate somebody to pray. But I'm looking at all the elders because normally the elders can speak better to God. And he knew that I was going to point him out. Thank you, Governor.
Surely, for the respect of the Lord, please rise. Let's bow our heads. Thank you, Father God, for your mercies and for your grace. Thank you for having watched over us last night and have blessed us with travel mercies. You know the reason for our gathering here this morning. We pray to you, Lord, to let your Holy Spirit guide this conversation today. Fill us with truth, with respect, as we are going to talk about what we are here for. And therefore, let your Holy Spirit abide with us now and always. And the church say, Amen.
Thank you, Bishop April. Thank you for converting the gathering into a church. And said Amen, and he did so loudly. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chitunga Elia Ngurare. I'm the DED responsible for the Department of Water Affairs in the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform. I'm standing in for our Executive Director, Mrs. Ndiakuping Tuamata, to facilitate the first session of this workshop. And I hope a great number of you have access to the agenda. And if we can just, we would see that there are 3 parts. The main part is the high-level session, which is the opening session. And it will be introduction of participants and the objective of the meeting. And then there will be welcoming remarks or remarks from our governors for Omaheke and governors for Hardap region, the host region, and we'll also hear remarks from UNESCO regional office by the regional director represented, and we will have a keynote address from our minister for agriculture, water, and land reform. For those of you that do not know him very well, I would like to present to you that his name is Kale Shimtukeni Schlatheim. That is our minister. Our team, yes, that is a name from Oshikunde. He was given a name from Oshikunde, and he's Shimtukeni. And 2 days ago, it was his birthday. So he's only 2 days or 3 days old baby. Let's give him a round of applause. We will now start with the first item, that is introduction. And I will get the list of all those that are participants. It is being brought by Mr. Makali. But before that, I will now, with your permission, deliver the objectives of the meeting on behalf of the ED as presented to me. Honorable Kale Schlattheim Shimtokeni, Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform. Honorable Cornelia Shilunga, Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy. Honorable Heather Sibungo, Deputy Minister of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Honorable Reverend Solomon April and Bishop, Governor of the Hardap region. Let's give him a round of applause. It's his region. Honorable Pio Nganate, the neighboring Governor of Omaheke region. Let's give him a round of applause too, since we have given honorable members of parliament that are here, and there are a number of them. I see Honorable Kasuto, I see Honorable Ithete, other members of parliament. Yes, honorable members of parliament, please let's have them stand, all of them, so that we give them a befitting welcome, because they are our lawmakers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And honorable councillors, they are also here. I know that there is Ochombinde, I saw Epukiro, I saw Kalahari, but maybe there are others. Honorable councillors, may you please rise so that we give you a befitting acknowledgement as well. Yes, let's give a round of applause to our honorable councillors, regional and local authority councillors that are here. Dr. Marshales Bazekana, UNESCO Regional Director. Yes, most welcome. Let's give him a round of applause. Executive directors of various OMAs and CEOs that are here. I know NamWater is here, and maybe there are others that are here. You are most welcome. Senior government officials at various levels. Our esteemed traditional leaders that are here, let's give them a round of applause. Distinguished members of different institutions and organizations represented here. Manner that you have been invited, and your list of participants, we will accord you the acknowledgement soon. Distinguished invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted on behalf of our ED to welcome you all to this high-level workshop, which is focused on the impacts of uranium mining within the Stampriet Transboundary Aquifer system. And we are happy to welcome all of you, and we are also happy to welcome the Ombudsman in our midst. Ombudsman, I saw him, yes? And because the one who's speaking is younger, I want to acknowledge all the elders who have nice hair. I see the Chipanganjara, Munene, and all of you, you are all acknowledged. Stampriet Transboundary Aquifer located in the Venduk Hardap Kietman Shop subterranean water protection area. As you are aware, there has been significant interest in uranium exploration in this basin. To date, exclusive prospecting licenses, EPLs, and environmental clearance certificates And this is where I wanted to acknowledge the commissioner, environmental commissioner of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Mufeti. Let's give him a round of applause. For the base and rare metals, as well as nuclear fuel minerals, have been granted in the Stampriet Artesian Basin on the Namibian side. Since 2012, approximately 600 exploration boreholes have been drilled under these EPLs. The extensive drilling of exploration boreholes and the proposed in situ leach mining process raised significant concerns from both government and the public. Government at the highest level has been seized with the matter, and there is a recognition of a potential risk that leakage from the mining area could lead to groundwater contamination, jeopardizing the health of people and animals. The impacts of the proposed in situ leaching mining are currently unknown, as this method has never been practiced in Namibia and by extension SADC region. Consequently, the ministry, with approval from Cabinet, engaged UNESCO to assist in acquiring expert advice on this matter. This includes reviewing the environmental impact assessment for the WINGS project, which proposes piloting the in situ leach methodology and providing case studies where this method has been employed. You may further be aware, ladies and gentlemen, that Honorable Minister Shimtukeni approached UNESCO in late 2022 to request technical support for an issue related to potential pollution of the Stampriet Aquifer. The reason why UNESCO was approached at this stage stems from the fact that UNESCO was extremely active in the Stampriet Aquifer between 2013 and 2022, supporting the three governments that share the Stampriet Aquifer, namely Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa, for the joint sustainable management and governance of this important transboundary aquifer. In response, UNESCO has committed to provide such requested technical support. Honorable ministers, honorable councillors, honorable traditional leaders, honorable participants, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform believes that stakeholder consultation is the cornerstone of governance. This high-level workshop, therefore, is crucial for gaining a deeper understanding of the process and for stakeholders to advise the government on how to manage such cases now and in the future. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, honorable MPs, our program today includes patience and discussions from various stakeholders. It is imperative that we listen to the recommendations and advice provided, so that we understand different perspectives and form well-informed opinions to guide our national decision-making processes. Let us be mindful, in closing, of the insights shared by each participant and strive to understand one another calmly, respectfully, and ensure that our decisions and suggestions will promote the long-term sustainability of our resources, our people, and our livelihoods. Thank you very much for your attention, and that was the remarks of our ED, Mrs. Ndiakupi Ngituamata, unquote. Comrade ministers, comrade MPs, honorable esteemed traditional leaders that are here, very important stakeholders that are here. That was the objectives of the meeting. And what is important is that everybody in here is important, and your contribution is valued, and your contribution will continue to be treasured. I now, with your permission, would like to invite our host, Governor, Reverend, and Bishop April. Give him a round of applause. It's April, so June, July is coming.
I am so happy and so delighted to have this number of people in Hartab region. I just hope that all of you slept last night here so we could have benefited from your SNTs. And if you have not slept here and have not used your SNT in my region, there would be something outside there so you can drop me some pennies there. Ne? Give yourself a round of applause for that one. Comrade Minister, Deputy Ministers present, the Governor, the Honorables from the Parliament, the Ombudsman, all the important profiles that were recognized earlier before I took the podium, thank you for blessing us and gracing us with your presence. My job is to say, feel at home in Hartab region, nothing much. So therefore, I wish to first of all recognize and appreciate the Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Land, and all those other surnames for allowing us to have this platform where all of us have got only one anticipation, and that is and to conversate around a subject matter that is very important for us, for everyone, not just for us as human beings, but for the nature, for the environment in its totality. And this time around, I believe it's different from all the other times, because this one is about water. And water, as all of us know, is about life. Should something go wrong in whatever decision we're going to take as the country, that wrong will do us a serious harm. And therefore, as much as it may look like it takes time for us to arrive at a position that all of us would like to embrace, let's allow time so that whatever we are going to get to decide on is really informed by scientific evidence, and that therefore whatever we are going to do thereafter would be something that all of us can say, but I believe this is the best position for us to go forward. So therefore, Ministry, thank you so much for this platform. It is important in democracy that we should allow people to participate in decisions that are to come, and therefore this conversation is essential in that respect. I just alluded to the subject matter. It's about in situ leach mining. These are all things that we don't know in Oshierero, Oshia Bamboo. That's why we are trying to find best ways to say it. But whatever that is, it already tells us that this is something we need to be educated about. We need to really understand. If we cannot already know the name, what about the content of it? Therefore, it is important and imperative that we are schooled on this, and not schooled to buy a particular angle or a particular position or side, but to, at the end of the day, buy or take a position that is going to be okay for the country and for the world and for livelihoods. That is what water is about. Water is not something we can take easy decisions. around and about. I know that it is about the impact of this new method of mining. Like I said, we are not so much vested in how this is. We have seen, my colleague and others were around the country to see how this is done elsewhere in other countries. I tried my luck, I think a month or two ago, to go to Russia, but then something decided for me to be dropped as a Oliver Tambo International Dunamis. I could not proceed with my trip because I ate something that says you cannot proceed to Russia. Allergic issues took me off the plane. So I cannot attest, as I'm standing here as the governor that has a role to play in inputting towards the outcome that we all need to have at this point in time from a practical point of view, because I was robbed by what I ate that day, not to see Russia. But I'm sure I'll get extra money from Geril and those guys to say something about the practical part. I'm trying to cheer you up, gentlemen and ladies. Comrade Minister, Deputy Minister's leadership present here, it is true. There are serious concerns. We are worried. And we are worried from different premises. Some of us are worried because we want to have jobs. We want to have some income so we can have to live a better life, because we believe that this mine, if it starts, can bring changes in the living conditions that we have and circumstances that we endured thus far. So therefore, that's a concern for us. We want this mine to start. The other concern or perspective is the starting is not the problem, but are we doing the right thing? Now, for all of us, you know, those of you that were at universities, you have got lecturers coming in teaching you on the same thing, and they tell you a little bit different things, each one of them. So you can never really rely on expert information from just one side, or one person rather, not side. So therefore, from besides what we have so far, that we may refer to as expert inputs, expert advice, expert positions, we needed to have, still should have somebody that is independent. In this space, I'm made to understand that UNESCO will come in to provide us with an expert position in terms of whether this type of mining is healthy for our water, that it would not allow pollution to happen, but it will also allow us to rather continue and or not continue. So therefore, this is the reason for our gathering here today, to introduce the UNESCO team so that we should then be sitting back, allowing them to start with the process, so that at the end of the day, the outcome that we get will be then gauged against what we have received so far, and whatever is the best position will allow us to come at or to reach a common ground, or the lawyers will say a common cause that all of us could possibly embrace going forward. So therefore, do not come already to this meeting or workshop today. We are only here today, workshop on what is out there. This platform is at no point a platform where we are going to have very extensive and labored discussions and probably hoping to drive it towards decisions. Decisions cannot be taken at this level, at this point in time already. But at this time, it is important and imperative that we gather all the information that we can for us to be able, also for UNESCO to be able to know this is the line of thinking that people have, and therefore, based on that information, provide us something that all of us can say, but this time is independent, it considered all the information that is out there, and therefore what we have here now we can refer to as a reliable evidence in terms of scientific investigation that is going to happen, and that we can then, based on that reliability of that scientific outcome, take a decision. And if it's a no, it's a no, because water is the only thing that is older than the creation itself. And we cannot take chances when it comes to water. If you pollinate water, there is no way that you can undo that unless probably some mitigation efforts here and there. But that would also depend on the gravity to which extent, therefore, the water was pollinated. So we should really be patient during this process and just continue to remain positive until we come to the evidence, scientific evidence that we believe UNESCO will deliver for us with speed. Before I conclude and say welcome to everybody, I want to say this as a regional governor. It's a struggle in our regions. It's a struggle. COVID has done us a serious problem, and now again the drought is around. It's a struggle to get our people to survive. A drought is dire in our regions, in particular in Hattab region. And people are frustrated out there. They want us to expedite processes like this ones to come to an end. And if it's taking time, where we go wrong as government is when we don't keep people informed. My appeal to UNESCO and the ministry and other stakeholders like myself is let's keep the people informed as we proceed so that people should know that this is happening. However, we have not yet reached a point. That kind of understanding and approach would help our people in the regions to be a little bit patient because we are hungry, we are struggling to get the ends meet. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, honorable ministers, honorable parliamentarians, everybody that is here, this is your region, this is your place, this conversation is your conversation. We just would like to appeal that the decorum of this meeting should be upheld by all of us. Let's not go into some funny stuff. Let's talk with respect. Let's listen, because the best skill anyway is to listen and to speak less. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Give yourself a round of applause because you are welcomed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor. I could see Honorable Venani was nodding. I think what you said has really reached a fertile ground within the audience. So please, let's give him another round of applause. On that note, I would now like to call on my elder, Honorable Nganate. In terms of height, we are all vertically disadvantaged.
Good morning, Director of Ceremonies, my dear brother Gurare. Normally in SWAPO, when they want to eliminate you from positions, they start with elder and senior staff. Yet they never listen to advice of elders. We have seen the son before them. Honorable Minister, good morning. Honorable Deputy Ministers, good morning. Brother and Governor of this beautiful region, good morning. Our members of Parliament, good morning. Commissioner, good morning. The expert from UNESCO, good morning. Our dear traditional leaders, good morning. Our farmers, good morning. And I especially want to greet the youth in attendance. If there are any youth here, good morning. I know the chief of the Botswana Namibia people is one of the youngest chiefs, if not the youngest. So there must be a youth here. With your permission, Comrade Minister, can I request for a moment of silence in honor of the 16th of June? That was yesterday. With your permission, Comrade Minister, can we rise for a moment of silence? Thank you very much. This event is very significant to me, Honorable Minister, especially since you were yesterday commemorating the 16th of June, the Day of the African Child, the day on which the child in Africa, and in particular South Africa, stood up to rise against injustice, stood up to rise for a better life. And beyond Nganate, as you heard, from the Omaike region, the smallest region in population, 102,000 people, 84,000 square kilometers, 39% unemployment rate. From January to June, we had 300 cases of malnutrition, that children who goes to bed without the necessary nutritious meals, if at all there are meals. 263 admissions into hospital, 9 readmissions, 26 deaths from January to June. In a country that is endowed with so many resources, in a country that is having so few people with all the resources to their disposal, so many people living in abject poverty. Fortunately, my region is not spared from that poverty. My region is not spared from hunger. People in my region are living an indignified life of dying from hunger. When I presented the scenario to the country director of the Food and Agricultural Organization, she cried. She asked me, where are the parents of the children? Dying. I said, they are there, but they're also dying. They are there, they're also dying, not by choice. Last year, I went to the hospital on my routine visits because the hospital had become part of my mandate, and a child was crying next door. The next day when I came for another visit, I asked what happened to that child that was crying. They told me that child had died. I counted myself very fortunate that I did not see that child physically. But the cry of that child lives with me. And being a gatekeeper for Omaheke region, I stand ashamed that I cannot rescue my people from dying of hunger. In Omaheke, there is a village called Leonardville, where people are also living in abject poverty. People are destitute. People are vulnerable. When the issue of uranium mining came to our ears, we were all very, very excited. We said, wow, maybe this is of our miserable life. But then we heard that it's not so simple. When we heard it's not so simple, that life could be lost through this mining, we also then said, can we then stop from having opinions and having facts? Can we stop from having emotions and having facts? Facts that could lead to saving lives. Facts that could also save future generations. Now there are 2 people who are affected by the sun. Some of them, the sun is rising. Those are the young people. Some like me who are referred to as elderly and seniors, for us the sun is setting. And us for whom the sun is setting must allow this sun to shine over the much younger generation whom we're going to leave behind. And we are duty-bound to leave a better planet and a better world and a better Namibia for future generations. And I'm happy that the tone was set by my brother that this is just a workshop and one of many workshops. I also wrote to the president, I said, Comrade President, can you please give me permission to call a seminar together with my brother of Hartap and Karas, where we're going to have 3 days, if not 5 days, of being workshopped on the pros and cons of this uranium mining. The president then put up a committee that is still about to advise him on the way forward. And I believe that that's the way to go. We cannot in one day take decisions that will affect people in 100 years. We must sit as Namibians around the same table. We must converse. We must leave all other fears and all other preferences aside. And I've been listening to so many people, and each one of them had their own reason why the mining must be allowed and why the mining must not be allowed. And many times I said, let's sit around the table as Namibians, have arguments, but also be straightforward. Some people in my region, Comrade Gurare, will ask if we are going to be killed by water in 100 years or 20 years, what do we have to lose if we are anyway dying next to this water? This water does not mean anything to us. That's the people who are affected by poverty. They hardly have a glass of water, and you're telling them about the safety of water. We are a country of so much inequality, and that must be addressed. Cattle could not have saved us from poverty so far. It enriched a few of us still remain in poverty. But we must be careful, we must be conscious, we must allow experts to talk, we must have divergent views, and not only one direction of expertise. We must let the atomic board, international one, come in, workshop us. And this conversation, I had it in Aminus with one of the traditional leaders, and he said, Governor, we will welcome that if we can be educated. Myself also, I'm just a history teacher. I have an informed opinion. And so are so many of us who are talking about this uranium mining. But unlike my brother April, who could not go because he was blocked by eating prawns for the first time, I have been to Russia, I have been to Kazakhstan, and when I was in Kazakhstan, I asked, where's the mine? He said, you had the mine. I said, no, you are kidding, man. See mines here, I'm seeing pipes in the ground. He said, that's the mining. I said, where's the uranium? He said, there is in the pipes. Later they showed me computers, and I said, but where are the people working? They said, it's all those people sitting in front of computers. Took me to a room and they said, there is the uranium. And I stood by the uranium. I said, seriously, that's the uranium. I've seen it with my eyes. I had first-hand information. But still, I remain uneducated in that subject matter. And I'm looking forward to have more and more people talking about it, and especially people in the know, also encouraged by the development of science and technology. If we can take milk out of coffee, I'm sure there must be a safe way to mine this mineral that can uplift my people out of poverty. When I would die one day, I don't want my children to pee on my grave because for not having been able to save them out of poverty. I also do not want them to pee on my grave because I caused the death of so many people. Whichever way we go, we are at a crossroad. Let's venture into going into that known, best knowingly and best informed. Let's leave all personal opinions aside, including my personal opinion. And I will lie if I'm not saying I'm not emotional about this subject. I'm emotional. There are emotions involved. It's not only about facts, it's about emotions. And it's also a moral obligation of us who have to share with those who does not have. Been crying about people dying. Seen very, if any, commercial farmers coming to my office and say, Governor, take this, save lives. You see that? As a way of showing we're caring for each other. Because as long as my house is on fire, yours can never be at peace. As citizens of this global world, save this planet. To save the planet if we cannot save the inhabitants of that planet. Those few remarks, I also wish you beautiful deliberations, and I wish you calm also, and I wish you all the best and that we'll have better preparations into the way forward. And I'm looking forward to a much inclusive, much informed discussion platform. I thank you very much.
Yeah, let's give him another round of applause. Hope, as a teacher, as a professor, as a scientist, he was also slightly emulating his brother to be a pastor. He spoke about the present and the afterlife and the importance of calm, the importance of unity, measured in our articulation of the issues as they are, focus on the science of it. Let's make sure we have the right science. And I could see from Honorable Ifete, he was nodding in approval. Honorable Governor, thank you so very much. Once again, I think what you have said, it has found fertile ground and is food for thought in our deliberations as we go forward. And one of the message I think that comes out from what he has said is that yes, science must also be broadened so that those that we have assisting us to providing us scientific arguments or decisions upon which we can take those decisions. If we have UNESCO, we can also have others to add to it. I think that's what I hear him saying. As long as ultimately whatever decision we come up with is informed by empirical data, empirical science, and then all of us, when we take that decision, yes or no, we will be able to nod and say we have canvassed as many views on the subject as possible. With that, I'd now like to call the UNESCO Regional Director Representative, who has traveled from the land of the late R.G. Mugabe. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Director of Ceremony. Allow me to stand on existing protocols, please. Honorable ministers, governors, MPs, councillors, traditional leaders, distinguished guests, a very good morning to you all from the Regional Office of Southern Africa. My name is Marcel Sebazekana. I'm the head of the science in the region as far as UNESCO is concerned. On behalf of the director, it's my honor to address you today, at this pivotal meeting. We gather here today to address a matter of utmost importance, the sustainable management and protection of the Stampriet Transboundary Aquifer system. I would like to express our appreciation to the government of Namibia for inviting UNESCO to provide technical assistance in this field. You may recall that the S in UNESCO refers to science. We are the only UN agency in charge with lead the science to coordinate science worldwide. This meeting comes at a time when in recent years, most countries in Southern Africa, including Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa, have experienced an increase in natural disasters such as drought and flood that compromise water and food security, with the number of catastrophic events predicted to grow by 40% between 2015 and 2030. It is expected that more pressure will be applied to the current water resources, which will be affected in both in terms of quality and in quality. The Transboundary Aquifer system, a lifeline for the arid regions of Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa, is threatened by potential pollution. Our collective effort, collective responsibility, therefore, is to ensure that this vital water resource continues to sustain the communities and ecosystem that depend on it. UNESCO's commitment to system management and protection of the transboundary aquifer system is unwavering. Our past endeavors in the region from 2013 to 2022 have been directed towards supporting this cause. Today, we reaffirm this commitment and pledge our continued technical support to the governments of Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa. Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, access to enough water and of good quality, and the preservation of water resources are core challenges for our society, requiring new ways of using and managing this precious resource. This is why every year we produce the World Water Development report coordinated by UNESCO on behalf of the whole UN family. On this occasion, UNESCO wishes to record the importance of dialogue and cooperation in the field of water, whether surface or groundwater. International cooperation is not only desirable, but essential when over 40% of the world population lives in transboundary river basins, which accounts for almost 60% of the world's freshwater resources. At UNESCO, we have long been convinced of the value of this cooperative approach, whether through our Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, codenamed IHP, which over 5 decades has gradually brought together over 3,000 experts, including 169 national committees, 29 independent UNESCO water centers, and 84 UNESCO university chairs on water, to list just a few. IHP has been at the forefront of global efforts to ensure water security. Scientific research, capacity building, and policy advice, IHP has been instrumental in promoting sustainable water resource management and addressing water-related challenges worldwide. To encourage international cooperation in the field of water, UNESCO has launched several initiatives. In the Stampriet Aquifer, we have set up a joint management framework involving Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. In the same vein, UNESCO mobilizes resources to bring together experts around this great cause of water. UNESCO also provides technical support to its member states to ensure the quality of freshwater resources. Today's workshop is an opportunity to exchange information on the issues faced during sustainable development of transboundary water resources. This will require partnerships and cooperation at all levels, as water is an essential resource that provides a foundation to all developmental efforts and that faces serious risks, including inadequate protection and sometimes reversible pollution. To further engage our discussion and provide diverse perspectives, we have invited independent, technical, and renowned experts from Australia and the United States. Their experiences and expertise will undoubtedly contribute to our discussion today and also contribute to the collective understanding of the challenges and potential solutions. Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, as we embark on this discussion, let us remember that our action today will shape the future of the communities that rely on this sample system. Let us strive for solutions that not only address the immediate challenges, but also ensure the long sustainability of this crucial water resource. Before I conclude, let me reassure the government of Namibia that UNESCO and the UN family in Namibia remain committed to supporting you and the neighboring states in the management of transboundary basins and aquifers, to encourage cooperation between countries that share aquifers, lakes, and river basins by creating spaces for exchange and joint decisions in order to ensure an equitable and sustainable use of water resources. Let us work towards our goal of increasing water security by strengthening water sciences for informed policy making. I look forward to productive discussions and the fruitful outcomes. Thank you all.
very much. Let's give him another round of applause on the emphasis of science and consultation as well as learning. I was looking at Comrade Cornelia Shilunga and Heather Shibungo. They were nodding because they are esteemed scientists in their own rights. Let's give them a round of applause. Mensen as hulle die syde toe kom dan sê hulle die syde maak vrede. Maar vandag die syde lyk my dis baie koud. Iemand het moet iewers oopgemaak en dan sê vreeslik koud. Wat sê hulle in Afrikaans? Easter cold, no? Ace cold. Yes, ace cold. Vandag is ace cold. Okay, so for those who don't understand and praat Afrikaans, I was just speaking about the weather. The cold. And I could see Msheko is also saying, yes, the Kowe. He's well converted and conversant. Thank you so much for being a very attentive audience, and your attention is even more required when I call up the next speaker. And that would be, as I have earlier on alluded, is why I'm saying Shimutwekeni. For your information, there is another aquifer. It's called the Hangwena Aquifer. So we traveled there, and usually we do what we call deep borehole drilling in the Hangwena Aquifer. So we go around 300 meters. That's where we get water of good quality. So we visited a place called Omlondo. And that Omlondo borehole connects about 13 villages to one borehole. So he went and drove in that road that Honorable Kasuto knows very well, that dancing road. And somehow he found himself there. And then the communities saw that, so this man left all over just to come to us here. So from today on forward, your name becomes Shimutwekeni. Don't ask me what it means, but Comrade Shilunga can help me. Then every time you see him with a head, he looks like a traditional authority. Eh? So he is Honorable Kale Shimutwekeni Slathai, our Minister of Agriculture, Water, and Land Reform. I have the pleasure to call him to the podium to deliver a keynote address. Let's give him a round of applause.
Please have a seat. Director of Proceedings, our Deputy Executive Director for the Department of Water, Dr. Leah Ngurare. Thank you very much for the name-giving ceremony and the introduction of all the guests in the high table. Thank you very much. Honorable Cornelia Shilunga, Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy. Honorable Heather Shibungo, Minister of Environment, of Forestry and Tourism. Deputy Minister, I mean. Thank you very much for being here. Maybe. Our host, the Honorable Governor Solomon April, Governor of the Hadar region. Our, if I may say, co-host, Honorable Pio Ganate, the Governor of the Omaheke region. Honorable councillors, different local authorities and regional constituencies. Distinguished chiefs and representatives of traditional authorities, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Botswana and the Ambassador of the Republic of South Africa. I don't know whether they're here, they are invited. I hope their representatives are here. Dr. Mariales Zimbabakana, UNESCO Regional Director, our executive directors, senior officials, and distinguished members of different institutions and organizations, distinguished invited guests, and members of the media. I feel very good today to be here with you to discuss the critical importance of paving the way forward in determining and assess the potential risk and impacts of mineral exploration, drilling, and mining in the Stampriet artesian transboundary aquifer. This aquifer is known for its abundance, its reliability of fresh water, but also for its vulnerability. It has been declared a subterranean water-controlled area due to its significant groundwater potential and for the need for its protection. Under the new Water Resource Management Act, it is now designated a water protection area. Now allow me to provide some background. I find it important to share this background for you because we are in the process of paving the way, workshopping our way through a very complicated matter, and the outcome of the workshops, your inputs, will determine later how we go ahead. So as a way of background, all borehole drillings and water abstraction in a water-controlled area are subject to water use licenses. The declaration of a water protection area is carried out in accordance with Section 85 of the Water Resource Management Act, that is Act 11 of 2013, either on their own initiative or upon application by an interested party. This is done to protect water resources, riverine habitats, ecosystems, and other environmental resources that are at risk of significant changes in resource quality, depletion, contamination, extinction, or disturbance of any source, including aquatic and terrestrial weeds. The limitations and prohibitions imposed on activities within the protection area are specified in the water use license conditions. Additionally, no person may contravene or fail to comply with any limitations or prohibitions specified in the notice or declaration of the water protection area. The Minister may also amend licenses as necessary to enforce these limitations. This is required because we live and water resources are often dynamic systems that change, and a change of conditions is needed to optimize utilization and protect where mitigation is necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, as Ministry, we have further identified groundwater vulnerability areas across the country during the update of the geohydrological map of Namibia. These mapped zones are crucial for deciding on mining, in fact, on any industrial activity that can impact on that water resource. Any industrial activity, even domestic activities in those areas, can impact on water resources, and they need to be taken into consideration. Human activities that pose a risk to groundwater contamination should be prohibited in areas of very high to high groundwater vulnerability. Exploration, drilling, and mining activities in these zones put groundwater resources at risk if not conducted appropriately. As a principle, therefore, as a dry country, it is essential to agree on methods of exploration and mining that do not endanger the quality or quantity of significant groundwater resources that we have. We need to clarify further that in all cases where the utilization of and any impact on any water resource is imminent, the provisions of the Water Act, the Water Management Act, are to be complied with fully, and that is over and above provisions of any other statute, such as the Mining Act or the Environmental Protection Act. This means that in spite of having been granted an exploration or mining license, or in spite of having received an environmental clearance certificate, the provisions of the Water Act prevail and must be fully complied with. This brings me to the Stampriet Aquifer itself, which is an artesian aquifer stretching across Namibia's borders into Botswana and South Africa. It is a transboundary aquifer, and we, through an agreement with these three neighbors in a water commission, have recognized that the utilization of this transboundary aquifer must be jointly operated. We are in a joint water commission with Botswana and Namibia on the complete transboundary aquifer. I said it is a transboundary aquifer, and the number of exploration, prospecting licenses and mining licenses issued for exploration in the mining within the Stampriet artesian aquifer system are of significance, not only for Namibian communities, but equally those in the two neighboring countries. And we are aware there are also mining and prospecting licenses given by Botswana, for instance, in the aquifer area. In Namibia, about 80,000 people are depending on the freshwater resources from the Stampriet aquifer. They include villages, farming communities of both communal and commercial agriculture, businesses, industrial entities, and individuals that derive their water from this aquifer. That is for domestic purposes, for drinking purposes, for livestock purposes, for industrial purposes, for businesses, for towns, villages, irrigation. The Stampriet aquifer has generated a very diverse field of activities that are all not possible without a uncontaminated, clean water that is derived out of the aquifer. Of particular concern is the invasive exploration activity, which often requires drilling into the subsurface to understand the geology and mineralization better. That's exploration, mining exploration. These drilling activities frequently intersect water-bearing structures or aquifers used for water supply, which is the only water resource available to users in the area. If these activities are not carried out in the prescribed form and with the relevant drilling license conditions, they could harm the aquifer system. If it is found that license conditions are not adhered to, the ministry has the authority to take necessary steps to enforce these conditions. Pollution risks can be extremely challenging to manage and may lead to disastrous environmental consequences that require costly remediation efforts later, potentially destroying the economic basis for the entire basin. As a ministry, we must take precautionary measures until we can determine the extent of the risk. And that is what we are discussing here today. What precautions, what mitigation, if at all, is needed to go ahead with this mining prospect that looks promising. But the risk side is a great unknown to us, and we are very happy to have UNESCO here to assist us in making the unknown known so that we can take a decision on a knowledge-based platform. As the two governors have said, we are here today also to listen to concerns of our citizens regarding either the risk of the mining or, on the other hand, the loss of an economic opportunity if mining is prevented. The topic is the proposed uranium in situ leach mining process in the Stampriet Aquifer basin. Just to repeat, the Stampriet Aquifer is vital to Namibia, and our reliance on its resources for irrigating food crops and fodder production for livestock cannot be overstated. This groundwater system also extends across national borders, as I've indicated, into Botswana and to South Africa, potentially leading to competing and conflicting uses for this shared resource. And one may add, shared and scarce resource in that part of all three countries. As government, we are very much aware of these risks posed by the uranium in situ leach mining, in fact, of any in situ leach mining process, especially if borehole drilling is not conducted according to the prescribed license conditions that would mitigate negative impacts in this sensitive aquifer. Now, while in situ leach mining is considered to have a reduced environmental impact, and I see there's a pamphlet on our table that came not from the ministry because we don't know that. We want to find out whether that is indeed so, that the environmental impact is minimal. I don't know where it comes from, but it is stated there that in situ mining reduces environmental risk. Our take on that is that may be so on the surface, but the potential pollution risks that it has in underground basins is often overlooked if it is looked at all. And these impacts can only be minimized through proper planning, proper research, proper operation, proper monitoring, and proper control. We need scientific input to create baseline water quality data in the whole aquifer basin, to see where, if at all, pollution is happening, how fast is the pollution traveling, how threatening is that pollution. There is a lot of scientific data that needs to be found so that we can take cognizance of it and then develop a utilization model that mitigates. But let me not start with mitigating. Let me start with the principle that ensures that that aquifer remains a fresh water source for our citizens for long, whether it is through mitigation or prevention or whatever. The principle is we need to protect and preserve the water in its clean and fresh form. In this regard, the importance of a thorough environmental impact assessment cannot be overemphasized. And I am aware of an impact assessment that has been conducted. I'm also pleased that our environmental legislation aims to prevent and mitigate the significant effects of activities on the environment. But it can be accomplished only if and when a comprehensive and thorough assessment has been conducted. The environmental impact assessment in this regard, I'm afraid to say, did not do that comprehensive, thorough research because the aspects of pollution in the aquifer were completely overlooked. They were not considered at all. So we have the necessary legislation in place, but we have not yet the scientific information in place to take a decision on a proposed utilization of the water. And of course, the immediate pollution is one risk. Its ripple effects downstream in the aquifer and in the several layers of the aquifer is another. So we have to really do this work, and I'm, again, very pleased that UNESCO has heeded the call to assist us in this complicated work. In conclusion, I acknowledge that Namibia operates under a mixed economy system and that economic opportunities must be created in our long struggle for equality and eradicating poverty. That is so. But we must do it in a manner that we do not create a worse problem down the stream. And that is a complete lack of a life-giving resource. I also recognize that mining and mineral extraction is one of the most important pillars in our economy. Our economy is mainly driven by mining. That is said so. But I beg to be listened to when I say that the real economy, that's the economy from which our people live, not GDP growth, but that is what our people live. That is based on agriculture mainly. 70% of our population lives off agriculture, indirectly or directly. And the risk to undermine that is very significant. In this case, mining enterprises are closely linked with groundwater, and mining processes raise concern about groundwater resources. Namibia is a dry country where water resources are scarce and vulnerable to pollution and overexploitation. The ministry has the mandate to manage, protect, develop, use, and conserve water resources and ensure water supply security for Namibia's social and economic activities. Striking a balance between the competing water needs is very challenging, but our priority is to ensure the supply of water for human consumption and for food production. At the end of the day, we cannot survive without water and food, but we can live without coal and uranium. That is to emphasize where the priority is. Our job is to make sure that the permission to extract a mineral resource to a foreign investor out of a freshwater aquifer is not harming the Namibian society now and in future, but it is to our Namibian society's benefit. That is the job that is ahead of us to determine, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Comrade Minister. Let's give him another round of applause. I think all the remarks thus far made, they all are leaning towards striking a balance between the mining as well as the protection of water, as it were, and to rely on scientific evidence to give us the rationale for why we must conduct this or that. Thank you very much, Comrade Minister, Comrade Governors, for your remarks. I think that is part of what they call part course, because the next session we will have to delve into the discussion, and on the back of our mind we know that we have been given considerable part course by way of the interventions that we made by our previous speakers. As earlier indicated, we have been joined, as per this list, we are 135 participants. And all of them have come to the hard up. That's why I see the governor is very happy. And there are a great number of stakeholders that are here. Headspring is here. Stampriet Village Council, Leonardville Village Council, Hobabis Town Council, traditional authorities as you have heard, Omaheke RFU, Oma OKJO, I'm not, yeah, Diane Oak, Orasecom, where is Orasecom? Yes, let's give Orasecom a round of applause. And he is the new executive secretary. And he looks very new. Welcome, my senior. But Comrade Governor is telling me I must not say senior. We are welcome youth.
Maybe he doesn't have political ambitions.
Yeah, he's a scientist of note. NFU, Sauma, Parliament, and I wanted to also acknowledge Ministry of Health. Where are they? Yes, it's very important. Ministry of Health. Let's give them a round of applause. Comrade Minister, the International Atomic Energy, I think the branch locally is organized under the Ministry of Health. Yes, that's yourself, ne? Yes, exactly. So thank you very much. We are most grateful for your presence. NAU, ORC, what is that? Omaheke Regional Council. Oh, the councillors. Yes. Botswana, Namibia Traditional Authority. I understand the chief is the youngest. Yep. So please, let's see the youngest chief. Yes, give him a round of applause. Yeah. Dumela Re. Yeah. Ra. Dumela Ra. Yeah, if I have made a mistake, the governor will pay a goat. Traditional. Corridor 70, UNESCO, NRPA. Yes, NRPA. Welcome. Stampriet Clark, yes. Amines, Clark, Nick, yes. Amines, most welcome. UNAM, the UNAM of Namibia. Welcome. Namwater, you are here. ECT, Current Minister, a lot of them. And Honorable Governors, a lot of them. Honorable Deputy Minister for Environment, Honorable Deputy Minister for Mines and Energy. This is probably one of the most well-attended conversations that we will have on this matter. And it also, perhaps, is a very good beginning of this conversation. And we will discuss and discuss and discuss. Of course, we also appreciate the presence of the ministerial staff that are here. With your indulgence, let me ask the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform staff members to rise so that you see those that you will be engaging with for the next few hours from here until when we end. The Department van Waterwees, the Department of Water Affairs. May you rise, please. Yes, please give them a round of applause. We don't look like gender balance. Then it's a snirekni. It's a snirekni. The future is female. What is happening here? Come on, mark a plan. Then let's begin thereafter rivers. Yeah. So, Comrade Minister, esteemed participants, this was the first session. The real business starts after this. And I think it is also fair to say that each one of you here present in your respective capacities, even if a name was not mentioned, please feel that you are duly acknowledged and appreciated, and please give yourself a thunderous round of applause that can chase away the cold. Very much. Thank you very much. Comrade Minister, ministers, this brings us to the end of the first session, and then we will have a break for a little bit of coffee and meskin biki cookies to eat. Daarna comes in for the real business. 15 minutes. Okay, he has spoken since he's a pastor. We can't dispute what he has said. So the pastor said it would be, or Honorable Governor said it would be 15 minutes. So that takes us 12:30 or so. 12:30 we are back here for the real business, and the staff members of the ministry will rearrange the hall so that we can then come back and speak to the issues that are indicated on the program. And once again, thank you very much. Comrade Ministers, Comrade Governors, thank you very much for your attention. Let's give them a round of applause as they depart, or they can sit with us, but at least their official program is finished. Thank you, Mr. Msheko, and the media. Let's give the media a round of applause. I know that the headline is going to say, in Hardap, they met to discuss very important matters. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so can we just move this up out there? That way? Move it that way? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can just take it off.